everyone, and welcome to Feet Planted LLC. My name is Karen Mayfield Felton, and you are here with me and Miss Anna Rodriguez for Women's History Month. As custom, I'm going to bring in my music. Hopefully, you can hear it a little bit better now, curated by my life partner, Mr. Al Felton. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ms. Rodriguez, how are you doing?
Hi, I am well. How are you?
I am doing well, doing well. I am so excited to have you with us today. So we're gonna just let the music play for a little bit, and then we can get started with the fun stuff. With the fun stuff. So
Absolutely.
we're gonna pull the music down. If you are not familiar with Feet Planted LLC or with me, I am a STEM professional, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, 20 years plus, and I started Feet Planted LLC because I wanted to inspire our early career professionals, give you all resources, and just help you succeed in your STEM careers as well as life. If you are interested to learn more about Feet Planted LLC and what I do, I'm going to put my information up on the screen. Please visit feetplantedllc.com. If you have questions or want to learn more, I am extremely focused and very interested in what you all have to say, what you're going through. I got a lot of experience under my belt, and so I impart that wisdom to you for your success. So enough about me. Let's get straight to it. It is still March, and it is Women's History Month. I have the pleasure, I'm bowing before the microphone. I have the pleasure to have another phenomenal woman here to introduce to you all. Her name is Miss Anna Rodriguez. We met, it's been what, 6 years ago now?
About 6 years, yeah. It's
Wow,
been
6
a
years ago.
while.
We worked at Marine Corps Systems Command together, where I was the engineering competency manager, and Anna was our program analyst. But she was much more than that. Those are just titles. Forget all the titles. Let me tell you, this woman right here, folks, was instrumental in enhancing, developing the STEM footprint at Marine Corps Systems Command. She and I were partners in crime. I remember all the meetings we used to have. We used to sit and just strategize and dream and plan for our
Absolutely.
workforce. And I thoroughly enjoyed it and I love it. And COVID came. We kind of did separate things, and we're back.
That's right.
We are back together. We're back together. So
Absolutely.
I won't spill the tea. I'm going to give Ms. Rodriguez an opportunity to give a little bit of information. Tell us about your background. Tell us about you. Help my audience get to know you.
Well, thanks to a chance encounter at Publix where we ran into each other a few weeks ago. But working with you, definitely one of the highlights of my career, and always teaming up with other women who are just as passionate as I am, not only working with the workforce, but with the community. It's always critical to make a footprint, not just in your team and in your workforce, but also in your community. You have to branch out and let your community know who you are, what you're doing, and how you can also make a difference. And that's what we did. And I think we started with our workforce, but we were like, no, we need more. And we want to bring this out into the community. And we
Yes.
went into the public schools, we
Yep.
went into the colleges, and I was that connector, and I was bringing them to you, and we were bringing them together. And we had quite a team at that table. So absolutely, we did well. COVID did stop us.
Yeah.
But that was absolutely one of the highlights of my career. Um, which that led me to uh, where my path has taken, um, and we did part some ways, but to amazing things. But I seen that there was a gap. I noticed that there was due to COVID, there was an opportunity there to have some type of accountability for our workforce. This was new, the type of environment where we were now forced to operate in, being that we were all now working from home. The government was not a fan of telework or even a hybrid environment. Anybody who is familiar with government practices and how they do their employees, they are not fans of telework. But due to COVID, they had to adapt and adopt. And that led me to building I took that upon myself to get with a team of engineers and build a mobile app where we can, where government agencies and private industries can account for their workforce. So during hybrid and telework situations.
Wonderful. She's talking about MarkMe Safe.
MarkMe Safe.
Yes, I so what's funny is as you all sit here and listen to us talk, we've been looking at each other from afar. We've been keeping up with all of the great things that have been going on in our lives. But let me tell you, this business endeavor, I remember when it was just an idea, when you were just telling me about it. And I am excited to talk about the process that you went through and what you've learned from that experience and how it's going to help our community and our workforce. But before we get into the details of that, I neglected to tell you all, I think I threw it up. The theme is women leading in courage and leading with courage. And so Miss Rodriguez, from the time that I met her on paper, talked to her on the phone, has and is a woman driven by purpose. We clicked immediately because I was just like, she knows exactly what she wants. Your experience prior to MarkMe Safe and prior to us even meeting, you found yourself in spaces supporting the Army. You introduced Marine Corps Systems Command to some significant processes, and me to just great women in the STEM space, leaders in their community. And I have been tremendously blessed by those encounters. So I would love for you to talk about courage and what courage means to you. And you can share any vantage point, either from your professional career or as part of your journey with MarkMe Safe.
Absolutely. So I learned early on, so I have almost 30 years of supporting DoD in all branches of service. And I have learned early on to not be afraid of my own voice, to learn to speak up and to have a seat at the table. So I made it a point to ask questions, do my research, and always come with data and facts because those cannot be argued. One thing about me is I leverage on relationships. I take relationships with me wherever I go. And because I value myself as being a connector. And if I see, if I see someone and I connect with them and I go to another organization, I was like, I have someone I need you to meet, and I will connect them to immediately. And there I build that bridge, and then we have a pipeline of great innovators and excellent and we just have something going. And I would take that and move it on to the next organization. And that has been how I have been operating. I'm doing that currently now in my current position with the Army, PEO, AIE. I bring in the relationships I learned in Marine Corps Systems Command over to AIE and with the STEM program as well. So I've always valued myself as being a connector. But courage to me is not being afraid of my own voice. I learned early on that women that look like me do not regularly have a seat at the table. So and sometimes you have to elbow your way up in there and
Lock people out.
and just spread yourself up in there a little bit, and it is okay. And that is why you do your research, have your facts, and it's okay to ask questions and not be afraid of your own voice. A little bit of humor, and just build those relationships, and absolutely that is something that I value, and I take with me wherever I go.
You said a mouthful, Miss Rodriguez. You said a mouthful. So, um, one of the things that I miss tremendously is our conversations that we used to have at the end of the week as we would plan
Mm,
for the months ahead. And I will tell you all, looking at the green button, find someone that you can dream and strategize with. Like, you all have no idea if you could be a fly on the wall 5 years, maybe, yeah, 6 or 5 years ago, we would
mhm,
book conference rooms with a whiteboard and we would just put the plans that we had for our STEM efforts for the workforce on the board, and just look at where we wanted our employees and our colleagues to be.
mhm,
What could we do to support them? And we didn't do that afraid.
mhm,
We did that sometimes knowing that our voices weren't going to be heard, but we went in anyway. So I love that you said not afraid to of the sound of your own voice, and the only one of the only ways that you can do that is to you have to give your thoughts air. You have to let them out and let people hear them. You also said come with data and facts. I think the young folks say receipts. Show me the
I didn't
receipts.
want to say receipts.
I mean, that is real
It's what
talk.
they say. Absolutely. Come with
Mhm.
receipts. Absolutely.
Definitely be able to back up what it is that you want to do. It takes research and it takes work.
Mhm,
So, and leveraging relationships. So, I'm going to piggyback off of some of the things that you've said because you said so many good things. Relationships are extremely important. You talked about taking the connections you've made and connecting people from your community work, from your professional life, and you take them with you. Building that network allows people to be able to stretch their wings. So with that thought, what helped you be courageous? What helped you to learn how to do that? I suspect you didn't wake up one night and everything just kind of clicked. I'm sure it was a process, but talk to us a little bit about it.
I think the process I had my aha moment and during a breakout room session, and it was with a colleague. Well, it's someone that I call him. He was a great for Dr. Gary Coleman, and he. So a real quick story. My mom, a large family. I'm number two of seven, and my mom used to cook these large pots of food, and she would these army pots, and we were like, Mom, why do you make so much food? I understood we were a large family, but we were always like, Mom, why do you make so much food? And she was like, there's always room at the table. And she would always tell us that in Spanish, there's always room at the table. And I've always taken that throughout my whole life, but I always thought it was more of a personal thing. And so one of our activities in a breakout room session, Dr. Holman has said, write down something that your parents told you as you were growing up that you still carry. And I had said, my mom always said, there's always room at the table where five eat, where five sit, nine can sit as well. And
Oh,
she used to say that in Spanish. So and he was like, Anna, think about what you just said. And he was like, look around the table. At that table, there was actually nine leaders sitting down at that table, where
wow.
it was only five people. There was literally, it was just five squares, but there was nine leaders sitting around that table. It happened, my aha moment happened at that time right there. So
Mhm.
that really, that's where my change happened. That's when I knew, okay, That was my exact aha moment, and he and I had a private conversation afterwards, and I was like, Dr. Coleman, it honestly finally clicked, and he told me I should write a book about it and take that because
Oh,
I never knew why I carried that with me. I used to write it down all the time. There was always room at the table, and he's like, your mom's been preparing you for this moment all your life. You
wow.
belong at the table. You belong at the table. He's always been telling me that.
That is remarkable and profound. So, I've been saying to my audience that can only see me across their keyboard, I get chills. I just got a chill when you said
Mhm,
that. Seriously. There's always room at the table. And that is the philosophy that I have seen you execute and you live by. Um,
mhm,
eh, One of my passions is to make sure that the BIPOC community of professionals understand their voice, understand their purpose, that they're able to contribute fully when
mhm,
they go to work and pretty much wherever they whatever space that you're in, that they understand that they belong. And
mhm,
you eloquently just share that. So thanks, mom. I know she's looking down and she's extremely proud of you
mhm,
for the woman that you've become and are becoming.
mhm.
You also said that, you use one of my favorite words, you know this is my favorite word, pipeline.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
pipeline of women, that I look at it as a chain of us just holding hands, just
Mm,
holding on to the next person and not letting go.
mhm.
What has been your biggest challenge when it comes to showing up with courage in your professional life? What's been your biggest challenge? I'm curious. This wasn't on the list, but I want to know.
I think my biggest challenge is breaking. I wouldn't say breaking, but it's getting the ones that are stuck on that legacy mindset that they don't want, that they fight the change,
Mm,
and even if it's seeing something where innovation, even if it's we're having this challenge actually right now in the program that we're working on, where we're looking at new technologies that the younger generation are using. But it's being built by a generation that is still operating on a Windows 95 mindset.
ooh, yeah. Mm,
And we're, we just had this conversation last week, uh, and when we were in Fort Meade for hours, and we were like, you can't, you're trying to have a conversation with a TikTok generation, but you have a Windows 95 conversation. Your verbiage is not, they're not connecting to what you're saying. So
mhm,
I think that is where the message is being lost somewhere. And I think it's more on, and I'm going to say our generation on up. We need to be able to bridge that gap and getting the younger generation. And I want to speak for our in our field of what we do, working for the government. And I have a tremendous pride working for the government. And I'm one of the young. Um, the new young innovators that come through those doors to feel the same thing that we do.
mhm,
And when they come in, and just to, and pride and professionalism will come with, within time and experience, but to take it to some level of seriousness. And I want them to start feeling that, and not just, it's another step to the next thing. And, but I see there's a difference there, and that I see is the biggest challenge that we're working on now. But I actually have an AAR. I got to meet with some majors and active duty Army next week, and that's my talking point, as the message is lost. Which
wow. You could tell we work for the government because 'cause we'll throw acronyms at you all day. After action review is what she's AAR.
Yeah, yes.
I speak government too. That's quite all right.
This is me and you talking. I forget where.
No, it is quite all right because I speak government too, and I understand those acronyms.
Mhm.
One of the things that is important is not just bridging the gap, but taking the time to be understood and to understand. And I don't care what environment. I'm a STEM professional, but this is applicable to any environment that you're in. You said something that is extremely profound, especially because you and I spent 2 to 3 years working in an environment where it was our office's responsibility to acclimate the new college hires, they call them
Mhm.
developmental hires, into a workforce environment, into a government environment.
Mhm.
And that was important, not only
Yeah.
for their success, but so that they could um, land well in an environment that was predominant had a large, I'm just going to say had a large age gap. And you said it a lot more eloquently than I did. What would you say to our early career professionals who are in environments? What examples of courage can you give them to help them take a seat at the table, understand that they need to sit at the table, knowing that there is going to be a diverse group of people in their environment, older, maybe not able to relate to who they are on
Mhm.
and off the clock. What would you say to them?
I would say to let challenge inspire them. Let challenge inspire them to do more, to seek more, and continue to pursue more, especially in maintaining ties to their community. Because that I think is important both for professional and personal growth. Um, Continue to build and work to foster relationships within the organization. That without building relationships in the organization, I don't think, I am a big proponent. I tell everyone, um, I try to, especially some type of mentor
Yes.
with the younger workforce. I highly encourage to seek a mentor, ask the questions, go to lunch at least once a week or once a quarter, and ask, go into another program. So it's important, and it's in any line of work that you do. Just have a mentor always.
That's really good. That's been a big push in organizations for years, and every organization does it differently. So I'm going to talk to the green button again. It is imperative that you are clear about what it is that you do. Understand that you're going to face obstacles and that you can handle them as they arise. But that those relationships, and it's a two-way street. It is such a two-way street. It is not just having the courage to have an uncomfortable conversation, or when you believe that you're in a room and folks may not understand your point of view, to have the courage to stand tall and deliver in
Mm.
spite of that and seek opportunities to bridge those gaps. I'm going to give a shameless plug. So I threw up my website, and I'll throw it up again. If you visit the services page, there is a Workforce 101 document that I have curated that takes the early career professional from 0 to 90 days. And I remember what it was like for me to work in my first job. You are speaking to a reformed knucklehead. That's who you're looking at right now. And I just jotted down what I thought and what I think are still solid actions that you need to be taken your first 30 days, your 60 days, and your 90
Mhm.
days. So go ahead and check that out. But I appreciate you so much for bringing that to the forefront, because oftentimes, and I'm not picking on it, but oftentimes, especially now, because not all of us are in the office. Some of us are not in the office at all.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
building those relationships virtually. There are challenges there, not impossible.
Mhm.
And there's also, um, I'll just say it like this. Sometimes we don't have, it's not even the courage, it's just not something that we're interested in, and that's
Mm,
getting to know, other people and getting to know what the other person knows. So, not only do you need a mentor to guide you, but there's humility that allows us to sit at the feet of someone more seasoned, someone that doesn't look like you, someone that is completely different from you, and this goes both ways,
mhm,
to impart and to receive. I absolutely love those things that you said. They're critical, and that's all of the things that you said make sense now because you are a connector. It makes perfect sense that
mhm,
you would pull out those things because
mhm,
those attributes and actions are very important to who you are and what you do. So I want to talk about how you're instilling courage in the folks around you. I know you. I happen to know you come from a large family.
mhm.
You are active in your community. You didn't tell all the things, but that's my job. I know the things. I'm going to say the things. You're active in your community. You do a lot of volunteer work,
Do.
which again, very honorable. How are you instilling courage in the people that you meet and you serve?
So who are we? So yes, I am. I am on the board of a nonprofit, and I challenge folks to come join me. And it is important that you give back to your community and stay tied to your community. This that part of who I am, it just shows. But also, goes back to my mother. It tributes back to the woman that raised me. It was always important that we reach back and always bring someone else up. So I'm always in the community, whether it's food drives, clothing drives, it from we've been in 5 different states, especially during COVID. We were able to distribute over $1.7 million worth of home, yes, yeah, household goods, food, shoes, furniture. We even gave away a canoe. Um, we did it. We had a partnership with Walmart, and anything that was site to store was returned or open. And because of COVID, they had an abundance of overstock. So we had a good 360 contract with 4 WalMarts, our foundation, and we couldn't keep up with the demand. And we were just shipping them all over, and other organizations were meeting us. Our headquarters, where our storage areas were here in Stafford County, Virginia, and with the help of the local sheriff department, they assisted us as well in distributing over. Just I think we did about 60 bikes to children in need. We helped the Family and Children Department of Family and Children Services um, make Christmas happen for about 387 families one year. Um, we were busy, about 1.7 mil in goods for. So yes, I do stay busy.
I'll say, I'll say you do. One of the things that I constantly learn from talking to my peers and colleagues, I knew that you were involved in your community, but I didn't know to the extent during COVID. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much for your desire, first and foremost, and ability to serve your local community. We both actually live in Stafford, and I know that so many people were and will be blessed from the work that you do. So, thank you. That is a part of character, and courage is a component of it, but it's a big part, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to pivot a little bit, because I want to hear, and I suspect that our audience will too. I want to hear a little bit more about your journey to Mark Me Safe. Uh, I know there was a concept, and I know that there was an idea. I also know a little bit about some of the wickets that you had to go through to make this come to fruition.
Yeah.
Courage. beyond
Yeah.
some of the steps that you have to go through. So walk us through how courage played a part in your, I mean, CEO and founder of MarkMe Safe, from concept to where you are now, in any way that you choose.
Oh, absolutely. So, um, in 2018, 2019, there were three unfortunate naval yard shootings, Pearl Harbor, and two in Florida. And one of a family member was in actually on site during one of the shootings, one of the active shooter incidents, and I was working for a government agency. Our chief security officer, retired CIA. I asked him if there was a uniform way that the government accounted for their workforce during a moment of chaos, or was there? How do they account for their workforce? Um, because he was CIA, he just retired 3 months out. He informed me that there was no uniform way. It was basically follow organizational procedure, and most organizations are pen and paper, mass text, or they will call you on a cell phone, or the HR will find you. So that answer wasn't good enough for me. So I contacted a marketing agency in Alexandria. I spoke with them. I had a concept. I said, I see there's a need here, and I have this idea. Is there something on the market? And they said, well, there's some things that are similar, but nothing that what you're speaking of. There's nothing out there like that. So if you bring it to fruition, it'll be the technology will be one of the first. So I said, okay, how much, marketing and everything, price range. So got with a group of engineers, we discussed it. I quickly learned a lot of building an app. And this was all during COVID. So I was, thank goodness I was home, because it was many late nights. Most of my team was in California, and so we were up till sometimes 1, 2 in the morning, talking, coding, and building differences for Apple versus what is that, Droids. And so a year and a half of testing and evaluation, and it finally was released in March of 2021. We do have a few contract companies that are test pilots, actively testing the app now, and I am super proud of it. We are developing extra features for the app. My goal is that it becomes a actual permanent feature on a cell phone carrier, so that when a a person, unnecessarily like a young adult, is in distress, that they're able to hit the app and it automatically goes to a 911 call center. Uh,
Mm.
Currently, no smart device is able to communicate with a 911 call center. There's 17 states that allow you to text. However, they cannot text you back.
Mm.
And there is a bill on the floor. It was supposed to be part of the Build Back Better Act, but because of Congress and all the mess that goes with all the political back and forth, the bill is tabled. So the senators have not presented it again, but there is a bill to redo all the 911 call centers, to have them where they are able to communicate with smartphones or smart devices. Um, my goal is to have this feature, the app, on smart devices, whether it be watches, um, all smartphones and tablets. So if you hold the app for 3 seconds, um, it would automatically let law enforcement know of your exact location. So
Wow.
if
It's
you
powerful.
get, yeah, so they can track you wherever you're going. So if you get thrown in the wrong Uber, or in the back of the Uber, if you're in distress or immediate need of assistance, that they can be able to track you. So that's my goal.
Miss Rodriguez.
And we are
Okay.
currently working on that and testing that as we are. But until
So
they
amazing.
pass the bill, we can't move forward. So we're waiting. So you might see me in front of Congress in the next year. So
I
that's my.
hope I do. Oh, so I took the time to go on your website and I
Mhm.
and I and I looked at it. We're gonna throw her information up, folks. So if you're out here watching this when it airs and later, you're gonna see her information. Have no fear. You can start Googling MarkMe Safe right now if you like, but we're gonna put her information up. Um, Listening to you and reading some of the material that sometimes COVID is a blur. So, you spent COVID developing an app
Yes,
to keep people safe.
correct.
That just shows the breadth and the depth of the capabilities that we have as women, particularly BIPOC women. I am so excited when I saw this. I can't wait to download it on my app. And when you blow up and you get in front of Congress, don't everybody pretend like you knew her. I knew her. I knew her. I knew her
She
first.
knows me. She knows me.
No, but still, all jokes aside, that is absolutely amazing. So I know that you are not a team of one. You talked about working with engineers. You talked about
Mhm.
working with partners. I want to peel back the onion. How? Well, let me ask this: did you face any side eye? Any folks that were surprised that this concept was coming from Anna Rodriguez?
No, if
That is a
anything, that
blessing.
I received more encouragement. I
Good.
want to join your team. I want to be a part of this. I think this is amazing. Let's use it for this. We got together and I started working with other groups, LGBTQ plus A. We started working with other organizations
Mm,
that are also meeting some challenges to keeping their because they can be using it in their communities as well. Because this also isn't there's a business there's family and friends as we call it, and there's also a business side. So I also have a counterpart who handles the business side. I'm in charge of the personal, the family and friends side. But I work with organizations who deal with battered and abused women.
mm,
So if an organization, a business buys the service of the app to account for their workforce, then we make the app available for free for a service for I'm sorry, for a community service like battered women's shelters or foster children or teen runaways or something like that. So it automatically becomes free of service for a cause of their choosing. So um,
nice.
yeah, it was important to me that it becomes that organization, if they buy into the app, it becomes they choose. I want to make it available to free of service for a community cause. So
That is so enterprise thinking and just with all of the things happening in the world,
mhm,
the ability to be marked safe and to have that confidence and security that someone is going to be able to track you, find you, God forbid that you become in distress or need to have that
mhm,
it's available. I
mhm,
am excited. So you are, I'm going to keep you honest. You have to come back and tell us, give us
mhm,
an update about how
absolutely.
things are going. Congress is going to do what Congress does. But in the meantime, I know that you're going to still be working and partnering
Mhm.
and talking to folks. So you have to come back and let us know how MarkMeSafe is doing. I'm extremely
Mhm.
excited for its use and for how the market and business owners have received you. I'm going to say us as brown people who
Mhm.
have innovation and ideas. And I want to make sure that you all hear me from a place of pride and just wanting to celebrate women. That is my goal, to celebrate women. So the question that I asked is, did you receive any kind of side eye? And that's because we being BIPOC women are growing in the entrepreneur space by leaps and bounds. I was reading an
Mhm.
article last night is that since COVID and maybe a little before, we're growing, we're
Mhm.
enterprising, we're stepping out there, we're taking our ideas
Mhm.
from basically napkin to implementing them, finding investors, and really making our mark in the world. And to hear that you received open arms, people
Mhm.
wanting to partner with you and help you, does my heart good, because
Yes.
that gives me hope that the wind, though it may be rocky, is shifting in the right
Yes.
direction. That
Yes.
that is
Mhm.
absolutely remarkable. Thank you for sharing that. That won't be the last that we hear about that.
No.
But I wanted us to dive in because that you didn't quit your day job to do this.
No.
Let's
No.
just be clear.
No.
You didn't quit your day job to do this. You're doing this in addition to, like a lot of us,
Mhm.
same with Feet Planted. This is a labor of love. It's our passion. And
Mhm.
both of us are women who like to serve and help. So
Mhm.
I'm extremely proud of you. I wanted to ask you, knowing that you have a large family,
Mhm.
knowing that there are many women that have inspired you. So I got the benefit. We worked in the same office enclave. So
Mhm.
during the course of our day, you know, people know I don't really watch the news like talk about, but Anna came in every day. Miss Rodriguez came in every day with, did you hear that this happened? Did you know that this happened? You kept your ear, and you probably still do, keep your ear to the ground about current events. So I learned a lot from you. Always amazed about the people that you know and have come across with. So all of that was to ask you this question. Who in your life has encouraged you, or who have you seen exemplify courage, and what did they do, and what kind of impact did they have on you? And I know that it's more than one person, but if you can think of one person that you'd like to share with us, please do. I would love to know who that is in your life.
Oh my, who has encouraged? Oh, encountered encouraged. There's been so many wonderful men and women.
Mhm.
Throughout my life, both on a professional and personal level. And yes, I am. And I will say the previous administration was a tough one to get through, regardless of which whatever your political stance was. As just as a human, it was just one I had to. Take I found myself taking actually social science classes to understand, to come to such
Remember.
some type of understanding and being able to have conversations with others, um, because I found it rather challenging to be in some spaces. So there were so many from journalists like Jorge Ramos. I found him to be, the times that he was escorted out of newsrooms and how he was spit on and
Mm.
the men and women that I actually one of the many hats that I wear, I also volunteer at the Marine Corps Wounded Warrior Regiment here on Quantico. I work for them, and I talk to some of the wounded warriors. And one of the gentlemen, um, he was there during January 6th. He
Mm.
was also he's been there. I told him, I said, you know what, I think he was also there during 9/11 at the Pentagon. And he was also present during one of the unfortunate bombings in Iraq. And he was like, he finally put in his retirement papers. And I said, I think, I happened to talk to him, and I said, I'm coming to the realization you might be bad luck. You might need to stay home. It's time for you to retire.
Lord.
Please find something else to do. Your wife wants you to stay home. And I just found him the way he put on he pressed his uniform every day. And he still got up every morning, polished his badge. He was a Capitol Hill sergeant, and
Mm,
he still polished his badge. African American older gentleman, and showed up with pride, although he knew everything he's been through in all three incidences. The 9/11 bill, he was at the Pentagon when 9/11 happened.
wow.
Um, and he, after January 6th, but he did put in his retirement paperwork not too long ago. When he called, I happened to answer the phone, and he was telling me the stories. And that's when I told him I thought he would be bad luck. But I was glad he was retiring, because it was time for him to stay home. Um, but I can just imagine the courage that it took him every day to show up to work with pride. And I
Mm,
told him I look forward to shaking his hand one day.
wow.
And I can't wait to take him out for a cup of coffee. So I believe he retires in May. And
Okay.
I look forward to seeing him.
That's a beautiful story. There's so many men and women who give their lives and who sacrifice a lot for our safety. So we both, it's not a secret, we have both supported Marine Corps Systems Command, and we support and just thank everyone for their service, all of the armed service. My partner in life is former Air Force, so we've got all kind of representation. But I really appreciate you for acknowledging the men, this older gentleman who,
Mhm.
in spite of the circumstances around him in our culture, and despite what is pervasive, I said this in my last live, there are bad actors everywhere. In spite
Mhm.
of that adversity, he ironed his clothes, shined his badge, and he stepped out and did what was necessary, his duty. And like many of my other guests, I'm sitting here awestruck just at the
Mhm.
irony. That is the recipe for courage. It's just a different kind of recipe. It is
Exactly.
stepping forward in the face of often the unknown and often knowing adversity. Sometimes we step out there knowing what is waiting for us, and we do it
Mhm.
anyway.
Amen.
And we sit up high in our situations, and then we proceed. And
Mhm.
so I so appreciate you for saying that, because courage requires us to often do the thing that we don't want to do, knowing
Mhm.
that it is possibly going to be not seen, not appreciated. But for all of you out there, whether you are a war fighter or whether you've served or not, civilian, what have you, thank you for stepping forward and
Mhm.
doing the thing that most of us, I'll put myself in that, aren't brave enough to do, can't do, and won't do.
Mhm.
So, hats off to everybody that fits in that category. That was a beautiful example. You don't have to text me when you go to lunch with him.
Oh,
Matter of fact, I
absolutely.
take a selfie, take a picture. I want everybody to see this man, who has
Absolutely.
had a remarkable impact on you, and through your story now has impacted me. I love it. Um,
Absolutely.
I I I don't do this to hear myself talk. I really do. I consider it, if you were a Girl Scout or in any kind of badge, you go through these events and you get these badges. That's how I feel when I talk to women like you. I feel like I have on my sisterhood, my woman coat, And every person I talk to, you all leave a badge, and I just
Mhm.
put it on me and I wear it, and it reminds me of who I can be, the courage that I possess on the days that I want to get out of bed and the days that I don't.
Mhm.
So I humbly appreciate you. I want to just acknowledge that you have said so many great things. I take
Mhm.
notes. I tell
Mhm.
people this all the time. As much as I talk, I do my best to listen. And I'm a multitasker, but I did write
Mhm.
down some really great words of wisdom. One of them I actually typed while you were talking, and I'm going to put it on the screen. So as we bring our, oh, not this one, folks. That one was what my sister said. This is the one. This is the one. As we bring our segment to a close, I just want to highlight some of the things that you said. You're not afraid of your own voice, not afraid to be heard. Come with data. We call them receipts. Come with the facts. No one can dispute facts, right?
That's right.
And find a mentor. You build pipelines. You also mentioned the sense of humor. We laughed a lot when we worked
Oh,
together, not
yeah.
only at other people, at ourselves too, just because sometimes, most of the time, you need levity
Mhm.
as you progress through courage. You also talked about the process and bridging the gap with
Mhm.
how you're instilling and serving our younger generation in the
Mhm.
workforce, fostering relationships, finding a mentor, and we also spent a good amount of time learning about MarkMe Safe. I'm not going to keep you all in suspense anymore. I'm going to throw her contact
Mhm.
card up while we look at this quote at the bottom. There's always room at the table. I wanted to make sure that we close with that. And that was a quote in Spanish by your mom. Can you say it in Spanish? I don't speak Spanish, but I would love to have it on record.
She would always say, "Donde comen cinco, comen nueve."
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I, as custom, want to give you the last word, and we're gonna keep this up here. Is there anything else you would like to impart with our audience as we celebrate Women's History Month, as we look at you and appreciate you for being a woman leading with courage? Any last words?
So thanks. I absolutely appreciate you for this opportunity, and I wish you much success with Feet Planted. And I look forward to running into you again in Publix. And
Absolutely.
I encourage anyone to keep keep challenging yourself and stay hungry, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and take, that leadership position, and continue to strive for change. And I absolutely look forward to working with you again one day.
Oh, we definitely will, so that folks can have a clear view of your information. I'm going to move that quote. Thank you for saying it in Spanish for us, music to my ears. And as custom, we're going to go out to a little bit of music. Folks, you have been listening to Miss Anna Rodriguez, CEO and founder of MarkMe Safe LLC. You can find more information about MarkMe Safe at www.markmesafeapp.com. You can also email her if you are interested in having her come speak, learn more about her community service efforts, and learn more about what she does for her business at Alice818 at outlook.com. She's also on LinkedIn, and you can find Mark Me Safe on Instagram and Facebook. Miss Anna Rodriguez, it has been a pleasure. I can full on say that I love running into my favorite people at the grocery store, and you are one of them. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for
Yes,
imparting so much wisdom and coming to talk about how you lead with courage. It's been a pleasure.
thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks, until we talk again, Have a great day and stay tuned for more women leading with courage.